Hello, and a very warm welcome to the Open Door Show from Property CEO. My name is Ian Child, and I'm going to be with you for the next half an hour or so. What exactly is Open Door all about? Well, it's your chance to take a dive into the world of small-scale property development. On Open Door, we talk to the movers and the shakers out there, all in an effort to give you the lowdown on what's happening in the world of property. We also take a look at some of the areas that we think could be a good opportunity for new developers to take a look at. And of course, as a property development training company, we get to see all of those things that our students encounter on their journeys. And so the other thing that we like to do is to shine a bit of a light on the challenges that can get in the way of people on their journey, as well as share a little insight on how people might be able to overcome them. Now, today, I want to talk about a subject that I often get asked about, and that's social media. What social media platforms should you be on as a property person? You know, whether you're a developer or whether you're an investor, what's the social media platform of choice? Now, let's face it, there's quite a few options. There's quite a few social media platforms to choose from, but the problem is they all kind of come at a cost. You need to invest time and effort in maintaining each one of them, because without current content and the perception that there's some activity there, visitors are more likely to be put off rather than turned on. And the general message that I give to people is that if social media is already your thing, then by all means, keep going, crack on. But you kind of got to work out where you'll be getting the biggest bang for your buck from a time perspective. So don't get caught in the trap of spending too much time creating kind of social media content. And too little time doing those things that really move the needle, such as looking for deals, building relationships with agents, and so on. And of course, it can seem like a great idea when you start out to have a very solid social media presence, but all too frequently, the time cost of keeping on top of everything can sometimes prove too much. And then you end up with what I call a tumbleweed profile. Basically, it's there, it exists, but there's nothing on it, and no one ever visits it. But there's one exception to my general rule about social media. And that's good old LinkedIn. I'm sure you're all familiar with LinkedIn, and I'm sure many of you will already be using it. Question: how exactly can you make the most of it? And what are the key do's and don'ts when it comes to LinkedIn? Well, today I am delighted to be joined by leading LinkedIn specialist and trainer, Andy Gwynn. Andy has long been a leading light in the world of LinkedIn training, and he's also been a very familiar face on the property circuit for many years. And I'm quietly confident that he's going to be able to shed some light on all our LinkedIn questions. So, Andy, are you there?
Ian, I am, and thank you for inviting me. I've been looking forward to sharing this with you. So it's a great pleasure. So hi.
Fantastic. Well, a very big welcome to Open Door. Great to have you here. Perhaps you could start by giving us a little bit of background about you and, of course, how you came to become an expert on LinkedIn.
That's a great question. And I know we've only got half an hour or so I'll make it quick. You and I have known each other for a few years. I've worked and coached. I started out on my own business journey as a business coach. I coached Simon Zucci before he even had his main flagship program, when he had one network meeting in about 2004. And I've always been interested in business and investing and property. So I studied with him. I learned. I'm an investor. I then coached a lot of property investors on how to run their lives or run their business, their property investing as a business. But then in about 2010, niched into using LinkedIn, and then started teaching my clients to do the same. So a huge network of property investors, as well as lots of other business owners and professionals. And that's morphed over the last 14 years. You've said, I think you referred to me as, I don't know whether it was world leading or expert. I know that we have some things that are unique. I can put my neck on the block and say that within the world of marketing and LinkedIn. And so core of my business is working with people. And I know we work together, and I work with you and your team. And one part of that is driving people to, well, engagement, but also webinars. So I have a sort of my niche is LinkedIn, because my background is business growth and sales and marketing. My niche within the niche is especially helping people generate engagement as well as attendees to webinars. But we'll talk more about what sort of engagement property developers want I suppose. And I'm living down in southern Spain, semi-retired, and largely, certainly with some of the investments I have, which again we'll talk about, is because of LinkedIn. You and I are here talking because of LinkedIn, and I'm enjoying the lifestyle that we have down here because of LinkedIn. So that's 20 years in a nutshell, Ian.
Fantastic, amazing, thank you. So I guess my first question is a fairly easy one. For those that don't know, what exactly is LinkedIn and what is it used for?
That's a great question too. And I think it's morphed a lot. And I think now compared to 10 or 15 years ago, more people have an idea. When I used to speak and stand on stage back then, some more people probably didn't. I simply put, I sort of avoid the word social media, although part of LinkedIn is that you can use it for. I think it's the world's most powerful networking tool and marketing tool in the world. And we'll delve into what that is. You can literally find anybody in the world that you are looking to engage with, because there are now well over 25 million personal profiles just in the UK. And we know as property developers, if we're looking for cash investors, for example, a lot of your clients and students have cash investors from all around the world. And there's nearly 1 billion, I think it's about 800 million personal profiles. It's not company pages in the world. And we'll talk briefly about how you can find those people. It's the most powerful networking and marketing tool in the world, I think.
So if you're a property developer or an investor, why specifically should you be on LinkedIn? What does LinkedIn have to offer for people in property?
Okay, I think what I say first of all is people out there are, if you're searching for something, if you're Googling something, then often what will come up is people's LinkedIn profile. If you Google my name, up comes my LinkedIn profile. So when people are searching for something like property investors or maybe deals or power teams or whatever it might be, your profile might well come up in that search. So if you're not utilizing LinkedIn, you're missing an opportunity to be found, is what I say to people. That's why you should be using it. Secondly, I go back to just earlier, there's nobody you can't find. So I said I'm living in Spain. I had a house that was referred to me. I got it 50% below market value through a referral through LinkedIn of a client of mine. But I found my English speaking Spanish lawyer and my English speaking Spanish mortgage broker within 24 hours of going out to LinkedIn and to my network to search for those people and ask for those people. So one is, if you're not on it, you're missing an opportunity to be found. And two, if you're not, you're probably making it harder to find the sort of people you might want. We've heard the saying that it's not just what we know, it's who we know. And the other saying is our network equals our net worth. And I can give you examples of property development investments I have purely because of LinkedIn. So that's why people need to be utilizing it. And I think the biggest challenge is just, how do I utilize it effectively? That's the question for any social media, anything in business, and that's what we can touch on.
And how does LinkedIn, sort of the benefits that LinkedIn has over other social media platforms? Why should people pick LinkedIn over Facebook or whatever other platforms?
I do say to people, and you mentioned, if somebody's brand new, and we know a lot of people coming into property might be in the corporate world or the public sector, and they may or may not have been using LinkedIn as much as perhaps people who are self-employed or running their own business. So there's two sides to LinkedIn. One is the posting that I know we'll touch on, which is like Facebook and the others, where you can post stuff and people may see it in your stream. And yes, there's paid ads. But for me, the biggest part of it is this direct outreach. If I search for mortgage broker in Malaga, I can find people and I can communicate and connect with you directly one-on-one. And that was the defining moment in 2010 for me as a business coach. I wanted to get to a decision maker. It was a franchisor CEO. I searched for them on LinkedIn and I found them within seconds, and I sent them a connection invite and they accepted. And I went back to them and said, thank you. Would you be interested in talking about how I can help you with X, Y, and Z? And they said, yes, call me tomorrow at 10 a.m. Here's my mobile number. And I remember it so vividly, because as a salesman, I just sat there stunned and went, That has now just suddenly negated me trying to get around gatekeepers, receptionists, trying to find phone numbers, of which I've been doing for 20 years as a salesman. So the biggest part for me as to why it's different to Facebook and the others is that I can network and connect and engage with you directly. Yes, we can post stuff so people see it and see my content, and we can talk about that as well.
And one of the things that I'm aware of on LinkedIn is that you've got a choice. You can have a personal profile, or you can have a business profile. So if you're a developer, you've kind of got a brand that you've got out there, or even as a landlord, should you be opting for a personal profile, or should you have a business profile? Do you need both?
That's a good question, and actually, my view on that now has changed over the last 3 or 4 or 5 years. I'm a big, in one sense, I'm a believer in an and mentality rather than either or. Should I have personal or business, or should I have personal and business? The reality is if you are a small business or a one-man business, then you only really need your profile, personal profile. When we come to posting, that we'll talk about, and how to work with the algorithm to get maximum exposure of your content, then it needs to be on your personal profile. But if you're running webinars and events, which you guys are, then for us to optimize the maximum results, which we're doing, it, as you know, it has to be through your business profile, your company page, So unless you're running webinars or events, I would say you don't need a company page, because you're just sort of duplicating time and effort. And I'm massive into leveraging my time. Unless you've got a bigger company, what I've said to managing directors of bigger companies is, yes, maybe your customers might expect to see a company page. Yes, if they're doing searches, it might come up. And yes, you probably want to build followers so that if one of your salespeople or key team leave you, you've probably still got the followers there that you can communicate with. I've only ever seen that happen as a sort of commercial risk once in 15 years. So it's a negligible argument, but bigger companies tend to have them because they'll have a marketing department pushing out content through the company page. But for most of your students, or maybe most people listening to this, unless you're going to build a big team and a business, you can probably probably just need your personal profile. And so when I work with people that are not necessarily running events, and actually your starting point is get good at working your personal profile. Yes, I have a company page. We actually have a couple, I think, but I have them predominantly for that reason, for the events that we're running. If I wasn't running events, I don't need a company page. I'm all about my profile. It's my profile that gets found. It's my profile that people connect with. It's my profile that people communicate with me on. So the answer to most of your audience would be, start with your profiles. And yes, if you're building team and a bigger business, then we can probably talk about how best to use it as a strategy.
Fantastic. So we've got our personal profile. What do we need to do to kind of optimize it? How do we make the most of that profile?
That's a great question, because prior to I use some automation to the LinkedIn. LinkedIn is an interesting machine, and they are now 21 years old, and I have a love-hate relationship with, because I do feel they contradict themselves in some ways. They have a phenomenal amount of different strategies and functions that you can use, but some of their rules sort of inhibit you. Prior to that, I would have said I had a 12-week coaching program, of which half of that was all about your profile, how to optimize it, how to write it from a marketing perspective. You want to sell yourself, even if it's for a job. I have a property developer friend that only ever uses LinkedIn for recruitment. Uses LinkedIn, but for recruitment, only really uses LinkedIn. Doesn't use many other vehicles for his recruitment of his site managers and his management team. So however you're using LinkedIn, you are looking to sell the opportunity to come work with me, whatever it might be. Then what I did at COVID is I put all that into an online course called LinkedIn Mastery for Property Investors. Because actually I could get to more people more cheaply. They can have it forever. So I have a bunch of free resources on a Facebook page, I think, called LinkedIn Mastery. Plus I got a bunch of YouTube videos. It's about writing it from a marketing perspective. And I think if we apply the 80-20 rule, the 20% that gets you the 80% of the results is your headline, your about section, and your experience section. So if you're really new to it, you can go model mine. You can go get hold of some of the free resources that I've got out there on how to write it. You know this, people's biggest challenge is learning how to market and sell themselves, whether it's for a job, whether it's to find a supplier, whatever it might be, to find someone to give them cash. I get on my soapbox and say, if you're going into business for yourself, you should learn to market and sell. And don't get hung up on LinkedIn. LinkedIn's just a vehicle, it's just a platform. The principles are the same. So it's how you write your profile. And yes, you can go deeper. LinkedIn, you've got the function. But my view, there are some functions on your profile that people don't like. My view is they are there. Rather than get hung up over it, let's utilize them to serve us best. And let's get creative as a salesperson, as an entrepreneur, as a business person. Things like using testimonials, using videos, uploading stuff. But I think the key thing is to write your profile so that you tell people what you do for them, who you're looking to engage with, and how you're looking to work with them. It's not a CV, never was, but just to speak I've got 20 years experience in this, and I've got this degree and this and this and this. Nobody cares. Write it to talk to the audience as to who you're looking to engage with and how you're looking to work with them.
Excellent. Now, a couple of terms that come up in the world of LinkedIn. One is direct outreach, and another one is posting. What's the difference between direct outreach and posting? What are they?
And I think we've sort of touched on it a little bit because that's what you see predominantly on Facebook. Yes, you can direct message people. Think of direct outreach as direct engagement, one-on-one messaging, which you can do on LinkedIn, Facebook as well. But Facebook, most of it is what you're reading in your streams. And that is posts, people's posting, people's content. And a few years ago, before we built our Post Party Club, which I know you know about and you're utilizing, and people can go look at on the site, postpartyclub.com, where we got to understand the algorithm. Because before that, if you'd have said to me, what about posting? I'd have gone, I don't really get much value from it because I don't get much exposure. I also realized that my content was not very good and engaging. We then understood the algorithm to get exposure. And then, of course, it's a little bit like you can write a website, but if you're not paying for SEO, no one's going to see it. You can design the best looking advert, but if you shove it in your shed, no one's going to see it. We cracked how to get the exposure, but then realized our content wasn't very good. So people were seeing it, but not engaging with us. So posting is where people shove stuff up there because they know they should. But again, it's back to being able to learn how to market. So posting is posting in your feed so more people see it. Direct outreach, direct engagement, one-on-one messaging is what when I said earlier, the defining moment for me was I connected with someone, I messaged them, I got a sales appointment. We were talking one-on-one. That is the direct outreach. And I think for a lot of businesses, that's still powerful. Posting is now more powerful, is now also powerful. 5 or 6 years ago, I'd have said 99% of what I do is direct outreach for me and my clients. But now posting has a big value. But as you know, I work with a lot of investors and developers. Most people are looking for cash. And to go out to people and say, hey, here's what we've got. Are you interested in understanding more and talking about how we can help you if you invest with us or give us your cash? That's where we've got great results. I worked with a property developer in Portugal. So, he was buying empty, rundown countryside houses, renovating them, selling them on, doubling his money, doing it all through private cash. He came to me saying, can you help me find cash investors? What we did then nicely was we pushed messages out, direct engagement. Hey, are you interested in understanding how this could work for you? And if so, go look at the website, go download the investor pack. Because now he could take it off LinkedIn. He could track people who'd had the investor pack and he could engage with them. Beautiful marketing, because LinkedIn should tie in with all the rest of your marketing. And we got numbers. And actually, what happened is I looked at his model and went, this is beautiful. I'll give you some cash. And actually, this week or next week, he should be paying me out on the second development that I've had money with him for 18 months. So for me, it was beautiful. But that's the direct engagement. We were going out to people saying, would you be interested in looking at how you can get a better return on your monies? One-on-one.
Incredible. So if I'm then thinking in terms of kind of, I suppose, systemizing things. So one of the things that that we like to teach our students to do is systemize as much as possible. If I'm thinking then about the specific actions that you should have in respect of direct outreach, in respect of posting, what does the schedule look like? What how should you be approaching it?
I think you got two things. You're either going to do it manually or you're going to automate it because you want more volume and more consistently. But if we start off manually, I think you want to be connecting with your ideal contact every day. You're limited to 200 invites per week. So for me, I just systemize 40 a day. Let's make it over the week. But importantly, for most people don't do is once you connect with someone, you want to engage with them, but you want to message them probably a few times. And that's where, again, automation may come into place. But also you want to be communicating and engaging and messaging your existing connections consistently daily, like you would your email database, your other connection bases. You want to be engaging with your prospects and your marketplace consistently. And then there's a bunch of other activities you can do on LinkedIn. So I think you've got to diarize that if you're going to do it manually. You know, we automate that for you. We're doing it consistently at volume for you and Richie and other with the business, and that just runs in the background. Posting, I think, again, consistently is probably the answer. If with our post party club you can suddenly get thousands of views of your posts, you can argue only need to post once or twice a week. I've got some incredible business and business partners because they said, we have been looking at what you've been doing. We've been stood in the sidelines for a couple of years now. I've seen what you're doing. Can you help me? That's because they saw my posts. Why? Because it was consistent. So I think you've got to diarize what you can manage, or you've got to leverage it out. And for the direct outreach, it is easy because you can sub it out to me with automation. There's a financial investment. Post-party club, it's low investment, but there's a time investment at your end to deliver on the engagement. So it really depends where your resources are. But nowadays, as you know, with automation and AI, and so easy to outsource to VAs, I would say, yeah, map it out as how to do it. If you're literally a one-man trainee investor and you've still got a job and you're trying to do it all yourself, you've probably just got to diarize what you can start off by doing and look to build on that as you can afford to pay for more time.
And you mentioned earlier about attracting private investors via LinkedIn. And I think for a lot of people, that's going to be perhaps the number one benefit here of being able to get people aware of what they're doing and potentially attract private investors. From your perspective, what are the sort of the do's and don'ts of attracting private investors on LinkedIn?
That's a good question as well. I think I'm always leaning towards the direct engagement, the one-on-one, because my background, I was a salesman from the age of 19, direct sales. Yes, posts are out there, people will see your stuff. I think it comes down to how you communicate, back to learn to market. So my standard process with a bunch of property investors and developers over the years is we connect with someone, then we thank them. Here's why I connected. By the way, here's an asset. Here's something. Give them something. I changed this strategy at the start of COVID when everybody went online, but people were then getting bombarded because everyone was online. So instead of just messaging saying, do you want to talk about how I can get you a better return on your money? I want to give them something. So I'll send a welcome message and go, here's an article I've written on why the money's in the high street banks are terrible. Here's an article on inflation. Here's an article on learning property development. I then send them a follow-up message. Hey, what did you think? And by the way, here's something else. Hope it's of value. And I'll send them a third message. And my view is if they haven't responded after 3, they'll sit there in my first tier connections and I can message them later. So it's about giving them something. It's about how you engage. And I am passionate about how you verbalize things, because most people, they're just bombarding you with, do you want to look at a great website? No, engage with the people as if you were talking to them in the pub, but not like some amateur network marketers in the pub that then just throw that down, try and throw that down your throat. I think engage with them and give them something. And then the other thing, when you're writing a message, space it out. The amount of times in a week I just get a big block of text, I'm not going to read beyond the first line. If you look at Peter Whent, W-H-E-N-T, who is my friend, client, strategic partner who teaches people how to write content, if you look at his posts, most of his posts are spaced every one line, one or two sentences and a space, because people want it short and sharp and they read it. But give people value. I did have the opposite of that. I had someone say that a LinkedIn person had said to them, you should engage with someone 10 times before you try and sell. Why? You have got value. Property in developers are you're giving me value. You're going to give me more a profit on my money better than I can get in the banks, in my ISA, in my pension. You are going to help me. So why wouldn't you? You have a duty to tell me that you can help me. Why would you pither about for 10 messages over 10 weeks before you said, by the way, Andy, I can help you make a load of money? I mean, that's too extreme. But so yeah, I think that's the way. And then posting, it's not about me. And Peter Went and I ran a webinar called the Proud to Announce Tour. The amount of people that go, I'm proud to announce we've got new offices. I'm proud to announce our new website. I'm proud to announce I don't care. It's like, so what is it? But your posts need to be telling me, writing stories about how I can retire early, how I can make more money, how I could get into property development really easily. Give me case studies of what other people have done. Talk to me about my life, my pain, my solution, not you. There you go. I could talk forever about marketing, but I think there's 2 or 3 simple key things there that I hope people get. And it's not just for LinkedIn, it's for anything that you're doing.
Fantastic. We at the start, I talked about how you've got to be a little bit careful with all forms of social media in terms of the amount of time that you have to put in to kind of maintain stuff. Because again, it's a question of we could become great on social media, but we have a business to run. We have that. It's the other stuff. It's the business that makes us the money. So what can you do? How much work do you need to do to kind of maintain your LinkedIn content?
I think once you've written your profile, if I talk about this, I'm not harping on about it, but it is magic. We have a foreign exchange trading platform run by, I think, the best AI bots we've seen in the world. My business partner built a £100 million business, was in the property space and finance space. He's just amazing globally. And I added a little bit on my profile about that because it was new. But all I do now with my automation is I'm going out sending messages out to 100 of my connections a day. And I'm getting a bunch of people going, no, thanks, it's not of interest. I'm going, here's what we've got. Would you like to know more? But I'm getting 1, 2, 3 people a day, probably maybe every other day saying, yeah, I'm interested in more. Then I have a sales process like you all would have. Great, here's some information, let's book a call. And then I'm getting a sales call. I do have a bit of a mantra that says, I want to get the conversation offline as quickly as possible. I'm not going to sell on LinkedIn. I'm not going to, yes, you can sell through ads on Facebook, but as property developers, you're not likely to get someone give you 100 grand worth of cash just from a post on Facebook or LinkedIn. My property developer in Portugal sent them to his website. They could download his investor pack. He could then email them, get a phone call with them, talk turkey, make the sale. So I want to get them offline as quickly as possible. So once I've set that up, it runs. I'm then just booking sales calls. Now I'm into my sales process. I had someone the other day say, well, I'm busy. I said, yeah, I want to be busy with sales calls. That's what you're there to do, isn't it? And if you've got that many new clients, then you're busy with delivery. Fine. The sales calls can park. So actually, once you set it up, it should be like your email campaigns. It should be like having a telemarketer. It should be like your website. It should be generating you inbound responses regularly. If it isn't, then your content and approach is not best. Now, the nice thing with LinkedIn, you said right at the very beginning of this, Ian, that if you're not careful with social media, it's the beast that keeps wanting to be fed. You've got to keep delivering and delivering. If I do nothing on LinkedIn now for a week, people still see my profile. People will still find it. Yeah, I'd be daft not to respond to someone who's asked to connect, but it's not like if I'm not on Facebook, it's sort of gone. The nice thing with LinkedIn, it's there forever. My nephew, when he was something like 22, found his internship in Hong Kong through LinkedIn because his uncle taught him how to do that. I've had people contact me, even though I found. So once you've your profile up, it's going to serve you ongoing. So unlike Facebook ads or posting, where I've got to post every week, if I'm not, because I'm away or I'm ill or I'm busy, LinkedIn's still sort of there working for you at some level in the background. That's magic for me in business.
Perfect. So last question. What resources are available for people, let's just say that they'd like some help with optimizing their LinkedIn? Where would you direct them to?
I think, first of all, free. I think I might have said at the beginning, I've got a Facebook page, I think, called LinkedIn Mastery with Andy. And there are some documents and content there. I said, step one is you've got to get your profile powerful. And I gave some ideas how to do that. Then you want to look at your strategy. How am I connecting, engaging, posting? You can't do it all. LinkedIn has so many functions. You cannot do it all unless you sub it out and automate stuff. So what's the priority? So have a look, go join that Facebook group, because also if you post questions in there, I will answer them. I've got a bunch of short videos I put up at the beginning of COVID aimed at property industry, property investors. The strategies are generic. They suit any business. But I did that because, as we said earlier, and that's how you and I met, I've been involved in property investing and the property circuit for nearly 20 years. So there's some YouTube videos I put up there. There's some more content on my profile. I would say go knock yourselves out with that first. There's a lot of free content out there now compared to 10 years ago, not just mine, but other people's. I think then if you're going to utilize LinkedIn as a serious strategy in your property development business, then shout me. I think if you're, I get a lot of investors and a lot of property people say, what should I do? Like you said, there's so much social media. I think it's the best starting point. I'm not saying you don't do the other stuff, you build on it. And then also, if you are consistently looking for people with cash, then you probably want to outsource and scale up your LinkedIn activity, in which case we need to speak. If you're just looking that I've got a profile, because by the way, here's the other thing. The moment you go talk to someone about cash, chances are they're going to check you out, aren't they? So they're going to Google you or they're going to go on LinkedIn. So you need a profile. If you're just going to do that because I'm busy, I only want one deal and I've got the deal and now I'm busy doing all the delivery, you don't need me. You don't need to scale it up. You've got your profile. So I think go power up your profile through the free resources that are there. And I tell you what, here's the challenge, Ian, because I love you guys and we work closely together. And I say this to Simon Zucchi, who we know and we work with as well. To your audience, once you've gone and got that information and re-edited your profile, you flip me a message and ask me for a critique, because I will easily record you a quick Loom video of what you can do even better. And I will do that because I'll have a bet, Ian, your top students are action takers. You know that it's not even 80-20. 80% of people listening to this won't take the action. So there's the challenge. Go do it. Change your profile. Drop me a message. I will personally respond. I don't care. And if I've set myself up because Property CEO have the most engaged audience in the world and I'm inundated, I'll find a way to respond. Okay. How's that?
Fantastic. Well, definitely an engaged audience. We'll wait with bated breath to see how many you get. Andy, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Very much appreciated. Now, if someone wanted to get in touch with you, I think I know the answer to this question, but what would be the best way of going about it?
I think if you connect with me on LinkedIn,
Fantastic.
You've got my surname there. There is only one Andy Gwynn that looks like this. Now, you will get automated messages once you connect and you'll go, what's he on about? I heard him speak. The moment you message me, I will personally respond to each message. But what happens when people ask to connect is my automation accepts and sends you something out. But the best way is on LinkedIn, because for two reasons. One is you've then got access to my 20,000 connections in your searches. Two, I'm obviously picking up messages and communicating on LinkedIn every day.
Fantastic. Andy, thank you so much.
Ian, you are welcome. Thank you.
So there you go. Hopefully you found that useful. As I said, social media can be a double-edged sword. LinkedIn really can be a great asset for you. And you don't need to spend an age having to curate content for it, as Andy says. And if you'd like some help ensuring you're making the most of LinkedIn, be sure to reach out to Andy. He's made that commitment, which is great. and we'll make sure that his LinkedIn profile details are in the show notes too. That's it for this open door. As ever, it'd be really good to hear what you think. So please do put your comments below. In the meantime, if you're interested in learning more about how you can get into small scale property development, we've put together some pre-recorded training for you. It's hosted by the one and only, and dare I say, inimitable Mr. Richie Clapton, and it is absolutely free. You can access it at propertyceo.co.uk/SFR, where SFR stands for six-figure roadmap. That's it from me. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you next time.